Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unanswered Questions. Sometimes during our live broadcast into classrooms, we don't get enough time to answer all the questions that students send our way. So we're going to take some time and answer the top upvoted questions we didn't get to for September and October.
Yeah. Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little exposed right now.
Why?
I tried to do up my button and it snapped, so I can't do up my button. So it's open collar.
I have an open collar.
But this is kind of like one of those trim collars, whereas you have a regular collar. Anyways, I feel a little exposed. Looking forward to this one.
All right. First question that was quite upvoted is, do you play Fortnite?
Okay, let me answer that first. Me, Boomer Dad? No.
I do. I have typically. I used to every Friday. Now it's usually last Friday every month. Me and a bunch of friends play Fortnite together, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, I do.
I play World of War Tanks,
Yes,
right?
you-
World of Warships. That's because I'm an old guy. Those are the games that I play.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Does my web browser actually block as many hackers as it claims?
Just before we answer that, do they want to say hackers or should it be something else?
No, it's hackers.
Hackers? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, your web browser, if you're comparing to like the early 2000s, web browsers weren't really all that good. They let a lot of things in, but as we have all learned throughout history, web browsers do a pretty good job at stopping the majority of bad things you may accidentally come across.
Now, there are some that are better than others, right? Like maybe the Brave browser or the Firefox browser? Or what do you think?
Brave definitely for privacy. I would say Chrome more for security, but you're kind of tapping into the Google ecosystem. So there's
And
that
Google knows
privacy
all.
thing, but it does tend to have higher security ratings. So ultimately, most default browsers work just fine. It's usually user error when you go around the security. You disable the security. That's usually when you have issues.
Are there third-party applications that we can put in, like Badger?
Privacy Badger?
Privacy Badger.
Oh, yeah, there are third-party applications. I know Malwarebytes has a good plugin application.
Yeah.
Yes, Privacy Badger is great as a plugin. So you can go even further enhancing, but you do want to be cautious because not all plugins are going to be legitimate. And one of the main hacking vectors is scammers.
One of those babies.
Will get you to download a malicious plugin, which then has access to your entire
That
browser.
never happens.
Yeah. That's actually one of the most, you don't really get viruses on your computer anymore. It's more so you're going to get something malicious in your browser is what I see happening more often.
That is human user activated, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. If my computer is being hacked and I turn it off, will that stop the hacking? It depends on the kind of hack. If you have a virus, well then yes, and the virus can't operate if there's no power or it can't communicate with the hacker. But if someone's hacking because they're getting into your online account, they have your password to your bank or to your email, those are always online.
I got a follow-up question for that. Is it true that, say, a laptop or a computer, when you turn it off, still has an internal battery, so it's still powering some of the system? And thus, if a virus is downloaded on the system, it could spread even if you turn the computer off.
Yeah, so there still is like a trickle charge and something, but generally the virus does need your CPU, your processing to run. So if that's not running, then you can't really run it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nothing that I've seen throughout history even. Yeah, no, generally if you just turn it off, it's not going to function. Yeah. If I sign into an account on a school computer, can the school access that? Ooh, technically, could it be possible? Yes, but unlikely that will happen. Most remote access programs won't function like that, and I think the school would have a lot of challenges in terms of privacy laws if they do that. But can they see that you're logging into Fortnite
that's where I was going.
or you're logging in?
Pornhub.
That too, yes. Will they be able to see where you're going and what you're logging into? Will they be able to take control over that account? There's two possible scenarios, if the computer has a remote access portal, so basically the IT person can take full control of your computer, and then if you're logged in, they can just go to the account. Unlikely that will happen, but is technically possible. Or when you log into something and you go, remember my password, you have a session token on your computer, so you don't have to enter your password every
Right.
time.
Right.
Yes, someone could steal that from your browser, but again, unlikely from a corporate management level. But they can definitely see where you're going and kind of what you're doing,
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Does my location still show even if I say no to location tracking? Um, well, yes and no. So yes, your GPS, your longitude and latitude is not being broadcasted. However, when you connect to the internet, there is some location data that is shared between all the computers, and some networks do keep track of where Wi-Fi nodes are located.
Right.
So there are some strategies to locate, even though you have location off.
Let's just say who's ever hosting whatever program you have will still be able to see the longitude and latitude, right? In
They'll
most cases.
they'll see your general area location,
Right.
right? They'll know the city you live in, for example, or if you're connecting to Wi-Fi networks, they might know where that network is located.
Right.
So you can. It's not going to be as pinpoint like GPS, but you'll have some general information.
Right.
How do I turn off Snapchat location tracking?
So here's the question. I wonder if that's specific to Snap Maps,
Probably.
or is it just specific to Snapchat, the app itself?
Well, so I guess there's two ways,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's in the app.
Yep.
Where you can have location on, but turn off the map functions, or you just turn off location on the phone altogether.
Correct.
For Snapchat.
Yeah. Those would be the two ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending upon what it is you're doing. So
Why do you teach people about internet safety and protecting personal information?
because we've seen too many bad things happen to both youth, teens, and adults when they don't understand. I mean, our premise has always been knowledge and the understanding and application of that knowledge is power. And what we do here at the White Hatter is we provide it in a very open and honest way that is enlightening and not frightening, right? That's what it's all about. The goal here is to try to reduce the less than desirable things happening on the internet, especially those who want to target our kids for some form of predation, right?
But why technology? Maybe that's the question as well, in terms of why not just teach about physical outside safety, and why are we so focused on
Well,
digital?
I think that's a question I'm surprised I heard it from you because I get that question a lot from adults. And that's because a lot of adults, we still see a difference between the online world and the offline world. We see it as two separate entities, whereas to our kids today, it's just one world where there is no separation. So it's on life. So when you think about what we teach here, the principles stay the same, diverse in application. The principles we teach will work for these young people and even adults, no matter if they're online or offline, right? So that's how we approach it.
What games can someone be tracked on?
I guess the question is by who, right? Like that's my question, right?
Yeah, I would. Well, if yeah, online games, offline games are going to have less tracking. However, if you buy them online, there is some record of where you downloaded the game from. But in terms of what you're doing in the game, if you unplug from the internet, you can still probably play your game.
Right.
So less so. But if you're playing online games, well, anything is pretty much being tracked and recorded and, looked at and analyzed.
Especially by the vendor, right?
Yep, the vendor. One, because they may have legal requirements to
Correct.
collect information in case something bad happens. Oh, they got to go to court. They have to prove that they did all their due diligence.
Especially now with the new laws that are changing around the world over the age gating thing that's going on now, right?
Yep. If I never share my location, can it still be found? Oh,
Maybe.
yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you take a selfie of yourself, you turn off location sharing, but you take a selfie in front of your house with a house number on it. I don't know. I think, you haven't intentionally shared your location, but unintentionally you did.
Or here's another great example. I worked a case probably about 6 months ago now. of a young person who was recruited by a sex trafficker. Let's call him a pimp. Recruited into his ranks and absconded with her. People were trying to find her. They were having no luck because he tossed her cell phone and stuff. But he actually took a picture of her on the deck of a hotel. I was able to take that picture, put it into some software that identified the buildings in the picture. So I knew exactly what city that picture was taken in. And then what I did, using some other techniques we have, I was able to kind of triangulate in on what that building was, i.e. the hotel. We then sent a message to the family, who contacted the police in the Canadian jurisdiction, who then contacted the police in the American jurisdiction, who went to that hotel, recovered the young person.
Yeah.
Good example, right?
Yeah. Just because you turn off location tracking still doesn't mean your location is anonymous.
Yeah.
Even when you connect to a network, you connect to a website, location data is inherently shared with every website you visit. Not like the exact location where you are, but roughly the city you live in. And as I mentioned before, some networks know where certain Wi-Fi nodes are located. So there's more than a few ways to find a location.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just, do you want to make it easier or harder for people? Can a school-issued device be tracked?
Yes.
Typically, it ultimately depends on how the school, the corporation, if you will, actually is distributing those devices, usually for their own asset management to keep track of all their devices that they own. Typically, they will. I don't know any group that doesn't track their assets, so I would expect yes.
Yeah, me too.
Can I be tracked through a gaming console? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Your rough location of the city you're in is going to be tracked. If you're playing online games, what you're doing in the game, if you're doing voice chat or text chat, that's going to be tracked. So
or you're connecting via an internet connection, so there's an IP address, or if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, that IP address could then be maybe located by law enforcement through specific procedures that they have. So the answer is yes.
Yep. Gaming consoles are just specialized computers, and reportedly the new Xbox, rumors, like it's going to be a Windows computer.
Rumors.
Which actually makes a lot of sense with what Windows is doing. Do VPNs actually work? If you're using them properly.
And the type of VPN you're using.
Yes. So yeah, your connection from your computer to where you're wanting to go is encrypted and is more anonymous. However, here's a scenario.
Just before you go there, Brandon, can you, what does a VPN stand for, and what is it? For those people who are watching that maybe doesn't know, what's a VPN and what does it do?
Virtual private network.
Right.
It more or less makes your internet connection more anonymous, more secure if used properly. But the problem is,
it can also change your location too, right?
Yeah.
So it makes it harder for people to kind of figure out maybe where you live.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, that means nothing if you log into Snapchat while you're on a VPN exactly. with your email, with your password, and you turn on location sharing.
You're giving up all our secrets.
Then there's really no. It can help prevent maybe hackers on a public Wi-Fi network from hacking your connection, but you have to have good procedures if you're going to use a VPN properly.
And the type of VPN, right? It's always best to go with a premium VPN, something you're going to pay for, rather than a free VPN.
Yeah. If I get hacked, how long do I have to fix it before something bad happens?
It depends upon what the hack is, right?
Yeah. If someone hacks into your email, they're going to work very quickly to basically compromise everything that's attached to that email.
One of the things I've noticed in a lot of your presentations, you really emphasize hard on why securing your email is so important. Can you maybe expand on that as to the reason why? Because it's really important to know this, not just for the kids, but for the adults as well, why your email address is the key.
Yeah, well, if someone just hacks your game account, okay, so what? One account gets hacked. But if someone hacks your email, well, have you ever needed to reset your password? You do a password reset. So even though you might not know if you're doing good security and you have a different password for all your accounts, okay, someone gets your email, but how are they going to get into all the other accounts?
Right.
Well, they just use your email and just reset the password. So any account that's attached to your email is vulnerable if your email, which is that master key, can get access.
And is that why two-factor authentication wherever possible with your email is so important?
Yes, that's why I do recommend.
And what is two-factor authentication, Brandon? Just for the people who are watching who don't know.
Just simply, you acquire a second piece of identification. You'll be either texted a code, not my favorite form. You use a two-factor app, which is my more preferred method.
Such as?
Google Authenticator has one. Authy has one. LastPass has one. Right. So you basically, instead of getting a texting code, you open the app and it gives you the code, which allows you to put the app on multiple devices in case you change your phone number or you drop your phone with a SIM card in the ocean.
That never happens.
Yeah, well, we live on an island. So,
exactly.
Yeah, that's more common to people around here.
Yeah.
Should I tell police if I've been hacked and it's an emergency? Generally,
what's the emergency, right? If you've been hacked and your house is on fire, okay, that's an emergency. But if you've been hacked and you can't get into your game because you've been hacked, not an emergency.
Yeah,
right?
No. And honestly, any crime that results in less than $5,000, let's be fair, police have more important things to deal with than fixing your gaming account that got hacked. If it's your bank and you got scammed out of $5,000+, now we're getting possibly into a police investigation, but if someone even hacks into your bank and steals $200, police have more important things to deal with.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there's not enough investigators to solve every online problem.
No.
That's just a reality. Hence why we got to take it into our own hands.
But again, if you've been hacked and all of a sudden you got home invaders coming in wearing masks and guns, that's a 911 call, right? But if you've been hacked and you can't get into your gaming console, not an emergency.
Is a hard drive safe or can it be hacked? Well, a hard drive, if you're talking about the old spinning disk versions, but now they're...
Did those exist?
Yeah, they still exist. Yeah.
I thought everything was kind of solid state now.
The spinning disk ones are great for long-term storage. That's usually how they're being used.
Like servers?
Servers, or you have your own external drive, you want to store photos.
Yeah.
They're better for long-term storage. Are they safe? Well, if you're not downloading viruses onto them, they're fine. They're a storage data drive like any other, so the same protocols would apply.
Mm-hmm.
What should I do if I backed up my photos to Google, but now want them completely removed from the cloud?
Oh, that mystery unicorn thing called the cloud. What's the cloud, Brandon? Like, let's kind of pull away the veil, the unicorn thing called the cloud and this mystical thing. Like, what for everybody who's watching, what's the cloud?
Just a big, powerful computer that's owned by a company.
Right. It's not this magical unicorn thing floating up in the air.
Yeah,
right.
It's just a really big, powerful computer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. It depends. I know if you pay for a Google Premium and Workspace, there's more privacy features built in. But if you're using Google default free, photos do get scanned, do get analyzed. You delete photos, but there's usually a recovery system to back them up, or you can keep your deleted history for 30 days or something. So, can you guarantee they're gone right away? No. I would have to double check Google's policies, but I would expect that they would keep data for a certain amount of time and then eventually get rid of old stuff.
Yeah, I personally, I think what's going on here, if you're using a free product, doesn't matter if it's Google or even Facebook just announced, right? They're getting access to all the pictures and videos you're posting. They're feeding into their AI LLMs, right? To train their AI right now. So,
can someone track me through an account I haven't used in years?
Maybe.
Yeah. A lot of old accounts are more prone to be involved in a data breach. I know I've seen people who they make a gaming account when they're a teen, and then 20 years later, that account gets hacked. But never logged in for X amount of years. Well, there can still be data like your email you use might be the same. If you use the same password for that game 20 years ago, like you do for your bank today, well then, yeah, that could be tracked and looked at, or the IP address.
Another great example from my experience doing investigations where we were doing an investigation on an individual. he was pretty good. He's using an email, a username, and that kind of stuff. Pretty good about hiding himself. But I did a deep search, and I found that the email had been used like 10 years ago on a gaming platform when they were younger. And he had his face, and he actually had his name.
Yeah.
Right, associated with it, that he totally forgot about. I mean, they were pretty smart present day, but they forgot about the past, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we keep saying to people, remember, as soon as you hit that send button, what you posted can become public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and for sale. So,
Can someone see my IP address while I'm playing an online game? Will other players be able to see it? It really depends on how the game is built and designed. I know old games used to kind of, by unintentionally, have people see your IP address. But today with modern games, no, that usually doesn't happen. Now, will the game company who runs the game see that? Will your internet provider see that? Yes. So, yeah, people can track that, but not typically other users.
okay, so answer me this question. I sound like the riddle, right? Answer me this, answer me that. What about these kids who keep connecting with us who say that, they're playing an online game, whatever it is, say Fortnite, and one of the trolls that they're playing with figure out what the user's IP address is?
There's a couple strategies. Someone sends you a message with a link, and in that link, it's a redirect link, and there's a little program that kind of reads. Every time you connect to a website, your IP address is shared with that website. There are some programs that you can send people to through the web.
Let's not name them.
Sure.
Don't name them.
To basically see that IP address, and they'll use that to scare people, but really it's not that big of a deal. That's one strategy, and that's a pretty common strategy. Or someone will go through past data breaches and see, oh, you had an old account where you access with this IP address that becomes public on the internet because someone hacked that, and they just use that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of the two strategies I do tend to see.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone hack my phone? Challenge. Technically, is anything possible? Yes. Is it likely going to happen? Well, if you're doing normal, average, regular things, you're not downloading weird stuff, you're probably fine.
And is it more likely on an Android compared to an iPhone? Because the iPhone's more sandbox, where the Android is more open source?
Yeah, Android. But again, if you're using an Android and you're doing just downloading things from the proper app store, you're not doing other weird stuff. It's just Android does have a lot more flexibility and customizability for users that can have them download stuff.
I think the other issue too is your phone is more likely going to get something put on it when you give your phone to somebody to use, and as they're using it, maybe they then load something on the phone while they're using it without you knowing it.
Yeah.
Right? So
if I turn off location services, can people still track me?
They kind of answered
similar
that
question,
one.
and yes.
Yeah. The good one is the hotel one I spoke about.
Yeah. Should I download antivirus software? If so, which one? That is a big debatable question in the IT world and tech enthusiast world nowadays, because your operating system out of the box does a pretty good job. However, it's kind of like insurance.
Yeah.
It's always good to have.
Layer it, man. Lego.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have. We here in the studio, because of the industry we work in, we use Bitdefender. That's our primary provider. It does a pretty good job, and it's pretty lightweight.
Yeah.
I know there are some that kind of...
when you say lightweight, what do you mean by that? Again, for the viewers who are watching who may not understand the techno speak like you're talking about, like are there antivirus programs out there that put more strain on a system?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
With like extra features to make them more sellable, like, oh, we'll automatically back up stuff. We'll give you a VPN. We'll back up your photos. We'll optimize your... They add extra apps where I just want the plain, simple antivirus. Don't give me all the other fancy stuff. That's
why we love Bitdefender, right?
Yeah, it does a pretty good job.
Yeah, it does. We actually compared Bitdefender to another big name product, and the Bitdefender was picking up on stuff that the other big product wasn't. So
yeah. Why isn't a site like OnlyFans shut down?
Because it's meant for people who are over the age of 18. It's primarily an adult site, clearly in their terms of service. So once you're over the age of 18, you can share things that that are not illegal anymore, right? So the problem is that when younger people are using it to do those same types of behaviors, clearly under the terms of service and clearly at points where it can become criminal in nature, but that's the issue.
If I enter a password into an app, could it be shared somewhere else? Well, if you enter your password into a social media app, if the if the company gets hacked and they didn't secure your passwords well,
Or you have a bad actor that maybe put a keystroke logger on your device?
yeah, that could work
Yeah.
too. Or if you use a password
What's a
manager,
keystroke logger, Brandon?
it's usually a program where someone watches your keystrokes on the
Mhm.
keyboard because what they're looking for are passwords typically.
Mhm.
If you use a password manager, well, the password manager shares that password with your browser to more securely log into sites.
Right.
So sometimes,
Mhm.
sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. What is OPSEC, and what does it do to help protect you?
That's how I'm gonna feel after I get my flu and COVID shot in about an hour. I'm gonna be upset.
Uh, operational security.
Yeah.
So it's basically your protocols of every day on how you engage with the world.
Yeah.
So you can think like, I don't know, if you want to use spies in those movies where they use secret code words, like there's operational security. But in, tech world, it's, maybe you're not logging into your bank on an open free public Wi-Fi network. Use your cellular data. That's going to be more secure. So, or when you connect to a public Wi-Fi network, turn on a VPN. So it's just those simple practices that you deploy just to minimize possible risk.
I think the important word there is minimize, right?
Minimize, yes, minimize. There's always risk.
Yeah.
So operational security is what do you do to minimize?
As you always preach, it's all about risk assessment and deciding what is best to meet your comfort level, right? Not somebody else's, what your comfort level of risk is. Because that's going to be different from person to person. So,
What if a Canadian teen is in a relationship with someone from another country, and what if things go wrong?
let me answer that one. Let's say, I think I'm going to take out of this issue surrounding nudes is a really good example when we're talking to kids and teens. If the other person is, say, from the United States is a good example, who's doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like sending a nude to you here in Canada that you didn't ask for, well, the person who's actually breaking the law is in the United States. So the law enforcement agency of jurisdiction would be U.S. law enforcement. However, because you're in Canada, what you do is you report it to Canadian law enforcement agency, and then what they will do is they will then connect with the U.S. law enforcement agency as an aid to outside agency, kind of a follow-up. So when it comes down to crime, it depends. What's key is who's committing the crime and where are they located. If the person committing the crime is outside of Canada, then it's the jurisdiction outside of Canada that does the investigations. We're there to assist.
Yep. What are some safe alternatives to sending nudes that can still help people feel connected in a relationship? Ooh.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one, right? Like, it shouldn't really surprise us that teens today are now using technology to sexually experiment with one another, right? And the challenge we have is as soon as you hit that send button, there's no pulling it back. And your friend today could be your frenemy tomorrow. So are there things that you can do to help reduce risks so that if that picture is shared, it's far less likely to have a negative impact on you? The answer is yes. There are things you can do, like no face in the picture and don't wear any clothing that's identifiable to you. Make sure the picture is taken in a place that's not your bedroom so people won't know it's you. Maybe playing music in the background so if somebody tries to replay it, it's a copyright violation. Like there's things that you can do from a harm reduction kind of standpoint. But even with taking those harm reduction approaches, the reality is it can still come back and boomerang against you, right? So
that's with any intimate relationship. There is always some possibility of risk. So what do you do to minimize the risk?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that there's nothing we're going to be able to do if you're sharing intimate images or videos of one another to make sure that they're never weaponized. That's totally unrealistic. That's just not going to happen, right? So having said that, I talk about a case at my high school level where we had two teens dating. They were seniors, sexually intimate with one another, boyfriend. Father gets moved to Halifax, Nova Scotia, where the East Coast Canadian Navy fleet is. She's still here in Victoria. They stay intimate with one another using technology, and several years later, they're engaged to be married, right? Like there's a good example where they use intimacy over technology, over distance, that ended up to the point where they're now married. However, thank God that was a good one, because if it would have went sideways, either one of them could have now weaponized the pictures, right? So,
If you didn't consent to have a nude picture sent to you, and then you show that picture to someone else, is that illegal?
yep.
Probably, most likely.
Depending upon what country you're in, right? Here in Canada, yes.
Yeah.
Most states, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There is some like niche potentials. Like if it's a public adult actor and someone sent you to that, and then it's already
Now let me just throw a monkey wrench in here as well, because I'm going to be careful. I'm going to withdraw my comment just a second ago, because again, it would depend upon who you're showing it to. So a good example, let's say somebody sends you an intimate image that you didn't ask for it to be sent to you, and then you take it and show it to a teacher or to a police officer because you were concerned about that, then that would not be illegal, right? But if you're sent that intimate image and then you're just showing it to other friends because you think it's funny or something like that, well, then now we have the non-consensual distribution of an intimate image, which in Canada is illegal.
But what if the photo is an adult actor on a fan website like The Hub?
Yeah. Can you give me more of a...
Someone sends me a picture of someone who's on The Hub.
Right.
The picture is obviously already consented to be public.
Right.
But now I forward that to someone else. Yeah. Would that be indecent?
Yeah, I think that would be indecent communications under the Criminal Code of Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the chances border officers will check your phone?
Greater today than ever before, depending upon what country you're going to.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you're going to a country south of us, there's a strong likelihood that they're going to check. Like we know that it's been well published that that's going on. And contrary to popular belief, the U.S. Border Patrol does not require a warrant to search your phone. Things have changed.
That's with any border, really. Anything you cross the border with.
It's changed coming into Canada now, right? We had that case law that came out that says, hey, listen, before Canadian customs can go in there, they need reasonable grounds.
Right, yes.
Right? So U.S., not so much, right?
Yeah, they do have rules and policies as to when and how, but in terms of they can still do it. So it depends, where you're going.
No.
And
this is important because, I talk about this in the presentation we do on nudes and intimate image at the high school level, because a nude that you have on your phone, which may be legal here in Canada for you to have of another teen, once you hit the U.S. border, it's now considered child pornography in the United States. So although it was legal here in Canada, just possessing it as soon as you hit the U.S. border now makes it illegal. Right. So those are things that we need to be talking to our kids more about. Right.
So we talk about when we do sport presentations to sport teams. It's like, hey, because you travel a lot to compete, be careful.
Or if you're traveling to the U.S. with your parents to go to Disneyland on a holiday.
Yeah.
Right. So
it might be legal on your phone in your home country, might not be legal in the country you are visiting. Yeah. Am I allowed to have my own nudes saved on my phone? It depends on where you're located.
Yeah.
Many places around the world, if you're under the age of 18, you can have your own nude image, but there are some places where you legally cannot. So you're going to want to check your local laws.
Here in Canada?
Yes. Here in Canada, you can have, as a teen, you can have your own nudes, assuming it's private. You're not sharing that with other people. You're not weaponizing it. It's for your own personal private use. You take your own nude selfie and it's...
Like I got a really good example of that, Brandon. We know a team. We worked with a family that was on a specific doctor-led diet, and so they were taking semi-nude pictures of themselves in a mirror to monitor their progress. Right. So that's a good example, right? So
yeah. If I'm in Canada and my partner is in the U.S., is it legal to send them nudes? Well, it gets...
Depends upon the state.
There are some states that have similar laws like we have here in Canada, where two teens in an intimate private relationship can privately send each other nude photos under certain conditions.
Moves it from a felony to a misdemeanor, right? So Washington State is a good example of that.
Well, Washington State doesn't have, they have similar laws like we have here in Canada, where two teens can send images, but there are some states where they can't.
Right. Now, the issue is who's breaking, if you send a nude of yourself to a teen in the U.S. Right? So that teen who has it on their phone, if you're under the age of 18, they could now be in possession of child pornography. you are, yeah, you're breaking U.S. law by doing that, but are the U.S. agencies, are they going to try and extradite you from Canada to the United States? Probably not.
It could potentially be a challenge if you travel to the US.
That's where I was going this. However, if all of a sudden they don't decide to extradite you, but then all of a sudden next year you're going down to Disneyland with your family and you've been marked by U.S. law enforcement, and then boop, pops up on the computer that there's a warrant for you in Oregon because you transmitted child pornography, you could face being arrested at a point in time, right? At the U.S. border.
Yeah.
Possible.
There is no one internet law.
No.
It's super complicated and challenging.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If I'm in a relationship and I have intimate photos of my partner, can I be arrested if I travel internationally? Yeah, what might be legal in your home country may be illegal in the country you are visiting.
Yeah.
So anything that could be sensitive, you may want to double check if you want to keep it on your phone or not.
We always say that to sports teams. Before you travel to any other country, check your photos, and even inside any kind of vault apps that you may have, make sure that there are no nudes in there, because they may be legal here in Canada, but once you travel to another country like the US, they're illegal.
Is the White Hatter someone who can help if I get hacked in a game like Clash Royale? No. What we often do is we give you the steps you take in order to recover yourself. We don't have the ability to go into Clash and then go to your account and restore it for you.
Yeah.
We don't have that ability, but we often guide people and show them the steps to take so that you can recover yourself.
I also want to just throw out a cautionary note. Maybe you can build on this, Brandon. Like as soon as you go on your social media and say, "Oh, my account has been hacked," it's not uncommon that all of a sudden you get inundated with messages from people who say, "You know what? I'm really good at recovering this stuff. I've got a good track record. You know, for $50, I'll be able to do that kind of stuff." And no, right?
Yeah. Could there be someone who might be able to do that for you? It's not like they're going to hack into Clash Royale. Usually what they do is, one, it could be a scammer trying to hack you even more.
Yeah.
But if someone is legitimately trying to help you, it's usually them going into past data breaches and then trying to find passwords you might have used in the past.
Yeah. It's just a note, right? Just to be aware of that. The reason I bring that up is that, you know, we do help teens who've been targeted for sextortion, and these things are popping up all over the place where they're promising that they can get these pictures back, takedowns for a fee, and that just no, right? So,
what is your opinion on the exploitation problems on major social media platforms?
Here, I'll take a stab at this first, and then you can follow up. Any platform that is popular with kids, be it a social media platform, a gaming platform, a streaming platform, there will always be those who want to target our kids for predation and exploitation, right? Like that's just a given, because let's face it, if I'm an individual who wants to target a kid, well, then I'm going to go to where kids are. Right. So that applies to every single social media platform out there. However, we do know that there are some specific platforms that are more problematic than others. So a good example, the Canadian app Kick, which is still being used by teens today. We just know that there are more people on there who are targeting kids for sexually inappropriate reasons. But go ahead and follow up.
Yeah, I could also frame it like, what do I think of the exploitation problems in places out in the public environments, in the real world life, if you will.
Good.
You know, it's, you know, you might be saying, well, social media platforms aren't doing good enough job. Well, the government isn't doing enough jobs stopping exploitation happening from the streets.
In fact, we know that when it comes to when it comes to exploitation of our kids, most of it happens offline, and usually by somebody who the child or youth either know, loves, or trusts.
Yeah. Sometimes governments even don't do enough. I mean, isn't there a potential list of people who are causing harm to kids?
And this is kind of interesting to me as well, because we can kind of branch off a little bit here, where we hear a lot of people crying that we need more laws, right? We need to hold these companies more accountable. Yes, we need more legislation for sure. But the problem is that people think, again, laws are going to be this unicorn that is going to stop all this stuff. And I can tell you that we've got lots of laws on the books. I was in law enforcement for 30 years. And what laws do is they keep honest people honest. Right? Mm-hmm. You're still going to have those people who are going to prey upon our kids, even though we have laws and checks and balances in place. It's going to happen, right? So,
yeah. What is the most disturbing online incident that you have faced? Generally, it's when nude photos are being shared and they're being exploited.
Yeah.
Those are some of the more challenging cases that we do deal with.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They can get pretty ugly.
Do you know any safe websites where I can learn about online safety?
www.thewhitehatter.ca.
That's true. I think we're a pretty safe site. We don't actually have logins for people to make accounts.
Yeah,
If you don't
exactly.
want to deal with that, that's just a
Exactly.
whole can of worms. So
Exactly.
we share tips and tricks all the time.
You know, and what's interesting is there are other sites. One of the things I'll mention here is that be very careful. There are other social media, digital literacy people out there that offer stuff for free, but you have to provide them with an email address, right? And that creates what's called an email drip type of advertising that goes on, right? Like when we say free, we mean free. Like you don't have to sign up with an email address to get any of our information or any of our videos. Do we have an email? Do we have a newsletter? Sure, but you opt into that. We don't. You know, like It's not as if we flash up a QR code and in order to get the data, you have to give us your email address. Like we don't do that.
We do. We don't do good marketing because we should have pop-ups everywhere.
But we just
sign up for our newsletter.
It's so sad, right? Like ethically, I just find that, look, we offer for free. Well, okay, well then why are you requiring the person to give them your email address, right? It's not free.
Yeah. Where we make revenue from is our tailored, created workshops.
Right.
We kind of take all our information and we kind of craft it in a more condensed, linear sort of like condensed program, like a video or like a webinar.
Right. There are other agencies out there. Media Smarts Canada is a good example. We love them, right? A really good, another really good place that looks at these types of issues from an evidence-based research standpoint, right? Like that's what we really like. So when we recommend others out there, another really good one, Wayne Denner, for those of you that are in Europe, maybe watching us from Ireland, he's another great guy. So just be careful, right? So. But www.thewhitehatter.ca.
What's something you use daily to stay safe online?
My head, my brain.
Actually, that's a good answer.
Right? Like that's.
I was going to give a more technical answer.
Yeah, like the best filter in the world is that gray matter between my ears, right? When you think about it. But that's where digital literacy comes into play, right? Because if I wasn't digitally literate, well, then I wouldn't be able to do that. I think too many people, especially parents, think that by putting in a software program, it's going to keep their kids safe, right? And that's just not true. So that's an interesting question. And, you know, that's how I think. I knew you were going to say something.
I was going to do a technical. I was going to say password manager and a VPN.
Which are important.
Which are pretty good.
Right?
But I like your answer.
So anyways.
That was a smart answer.
Huh. You just gave me credit.
I did.
That never happens.
Is there anything I
got you speechless. I know. That's my answer.
Woo! Is there anything I can do if I've done something online that I now regret?
Yeah, we all make mistakes, right? Like I still make mistakes, and Brandon reminds me of that daily, right? So, but the secret is learning from those mistakes. So are there things that you can do to go in and, you know, if you posted something and you can control it, then you can delete it to make it harder to find. If you can't delete it, then we can go about burying it to make it harder to find, right? So yeah, those are things that we cover in our leveraging social media for college, university, and job opportunities, right? But I mean, we've learned a lot. I mean, as a company, we've been around now for 30 years. We've been doing this stuff probably for 18, 20 years now in the area of internet stuff and digital stuff and
something like that.
Things have changed dramatically from when we first started to where we are today, and we've learned so much.
Our
right?
first workshop was in 2008.
There you go. Right. So things have changed. We've learned so much since then. So just know that yes, indeed. Like, and I still hear people saying, whatever you post online is there forever. That's not necessarily true, right? You know, people say it's like a tattoo. Well, you can go in now and get tattoos removed, right? Like, so again, when we say that, we got to be careful because if we tell, especially kids, that what you're posted is going to be there forever, it could destroy it at an emotional level. Some younger kids will think, well, my life's over now. Like, what do I have to live for? Right. Like, and we got to be careful of that, because sometimes we can delete things and sometimes we can make it much, much harder to find.
What happens to the information you delete from your browsing history? Ooh. Your browsing history is typically shared in like two places. So, yes, on your device itself, you will have a history which you can totally delete and it's gone forever to a degree. Obviously, you can recover old deleted things, but if you delete it and wipe your hard drive, then sure, you could be gone forever. But every website you connect into will very likely have its own record of what you are doing on that site itself.
That includes internet service providers, right?
Yeah,
Like
ISPs
Shaw,
as well.
Bell.
So you can control and delete what's on your device. That doesn't mean you're able to delete the information collected about you on the networks and computers that you connect into. So it's kind of half the story of your history tracking.
And that's important, Brandon, because we still get questions from teens. Well, I'm using incognito mode or privacy mode, so therefore my privacy is set. That's half the answer, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Can Wi-Fi routers see every website people visit? It depends. Technically, yes, your connections and your router kind of filters and send those connections, but it depends if the router software will allow people to actually see that or not. Different routers will have different.
What's a router, Brandon?
It's that box that provides your home internet.
There you go.
Different routers will have different software to view what people are and aren't doing. So it depends on the router itself, but technically any
Can you maybe, I know you did this yesterday, I think it's really cool to do it on this show too, is can you show them two different routers? Like, can you show them what most home routers look like and then what the Griffin router looks like, and how the Griffin router actually, it is easier for people to see where you're going. So for, parents is a good example with the Griffin router, right?
Yeah. So most routers, I mean, you don't have to use the one that comes with your internet home provider. Usually they're cheaper. You get something faster and better, bigger Wi-Fi, faster Wi-Fi. And then there are some routers that have built-in parenting features or safety features that do typically cost a bit more. So like routers like this will see a lot more on the network than routers like this. So there are choices.
Yeah.
It depends.
For sure. That router in your left hand with the antennas, it looks like an alien that I was watching on a movie last night on Apple. So you turn it upside down, they had the skinny legs, just like that.
Do you find it concerning that companies sell user data? No. I mean,
concerning, that's the interesting word. Do I find it surprising? No.
That's been happening even before the internet.
Yeah. If it's free, they got to make their money somehow. So how do they make their money? By collecting your data and selling it to third parties.
Prior to the internet, people were selling home address data. Like, oh, this person lives at this address, so you can send them spam mail. That happened before the internet. Yeah. So this is nothing new.
It's nothing new. Is it surprising? No. Is it concerning? Well, what's concerning is we had some research from Harvard, I think it was a year ago, that found that these big companies made over $11 billion off of youth and their private information that they were sharing within these platforms and selling it to third parties who want to sell you stuff like Nike Air.
Yeah. Right? This ultimately comes down to just capitalism.
Yeah. If it's free, they got to make their money somehow.
It's just marketing and manipulation. Like, if you want to stop this, you really have to stop all kinds of manipulation. It's like the stories on how like grocery stores will vent their bakery exhaust into the front door to try to entice consumers to go buy baked goods.
Donuts.
So I mean, like, if you want to stop that kind of manipulation, you have to go deeper than just, oh, you can't sell user data. Well, I don't know.
It's interesting. I read I forget where it was, but they said, listen, if you could have a social media platform where you pay $10 a year so that your information isn't sold, or get one for free where it is sold, the vast majority of people chose the free.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be $10.
Right? Whatever, right? Even if it was $1, I still think people...
it'd be more. It depends what you're using it for.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that even if, let's just say it was $1, people would still pick this research, the interview that was done, people would still pick the free over the dollar.
Yeah.
Right? So human nature, right?
Yeah. Is it better to keep Snap Maps on or off? We do recommend, we don't really, is there a good reason to have it on? I can't really think of a really good reason. Do I care that my friends know exactly where I am?
Well, I can tell you some of the reasons kids will do it. Well, number one is, or what we're seeing is drug deals, right? Like if I'm at a party and there's a drug dealer there, you turn on Snap Maps, show it on Snap Maps, they know exactly where you are, where to meet up,
Okay.
do that, right? So that's where kids will use it.
What about a legitimate purpose?
That's where I'm going. I see more illegitimate purposes for using Snap Maps on than off. Now,
some people use it to show off like they're at a vacation resort.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm in vacation, and you're back in your city.
Yeah.
And so again, but is that a real good legitimate purpose?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. It's not for me.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
we do recommend
Yeah,
off.
I agree.
Can you improve your digital footprint?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah, we talk about that in our leveraging social media, right? So
Yeah.
for sure, there's a whole variety of different ways you can do it to make yourself look more attractive, say to college, university recruiters, scholarships, grants, or even employers now, right? Like if I'm an employer and I'm hiring somebody for a position and I got 2 candidates left and only got 1 position, and I got 1 candidate who's showing me all kinds of really cool stuff in their online presence that is relevant to the job they're applying to, and I got another person who's not, guess who I'm picking?
Or another person who's up late partying every night?
Exactly, right? Like
those can be impressions.
Right. So there's way that you can leverage it to your advantage for sure.
What's the most liked TikTok video you've ever had?
I don't know. You'd have to.
I think it's the one where you did that marmot, like what was it, marmot?
Yeah. The meme that was going around, right? With the
early days of TikTok.
The early days of TikTok, right? Where I dressed up in the white suit with the tail and I did I froze and then all of a sudden you flashed to that white moment or whatever it was.
Still pretty popular.
Yeah. Or the elf on the shelf one is pretty popular too, where I dressed up like the elf on the shelf.
Yeah.
I was a big elf, right?
Xbox or PlayStation? Well,
That's like saying Mac or PC, right?
Yeah, I've been PlayStation for a while, but generally I'm a PC person.
I'm a PC person, right? So
I in my youth I was PlayStation, but I computer PC has a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
Can Nintendo consoles be tracked? Yeah, indeed. Your IP address, your connections, your activity on the network. Yeah. Is there a way to mute a friend without blocking them? That's going to depend on the app you are using. Like Discord, for example, if you're in a voice chat with someone, you could right-click and then mute that person so you never hear them again, and you can still be friends and talk to them. So apps like Discord, you can totally do that. But I don't know, games, it would depend on the game you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends. What are the safest websites for kids?
I don't know about safer, depending upon for those under the age of 14, we love Kinzoo, right? Canadian company, Kinzoo, messaging place for kids. They can do a lot of cool things on there. When it comes to AI right now, Angel Q is a really good one. Conamigo is another good one. Kinzoo's got Kinzoo Kai now, which is AI built for kids by Safety by Design, right? So they're safer.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And then for any of the other more public websites, generally, I don't really have like a safe or bad list necessarily. But
we got away from that, right?
Generally, I look for like the features. Can you block people on the app? If you can't, you're probably going to have more problems. Can you privatize your account? If you can't, you're probably going to have more problems. So those are kind of what we look for in determining is this a better app or a worse app.
I actually watched you on a webinar that you did where you were interviewed, and you made a really good point where, 10, 15 years ago, we used to put out a list of the top 10 apps, right? Worst apps. And then you made a really good point, which was parents would look at that and go, okay, my kid isn't on those 10 apps. They're safe, right? Not understanding that any app, any social media platform has its dangers. Do you want to build on that at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, schools do a good job. It's kind of blocking social media because all the bad things that can happen. But yet, we've been to a school or two and students used Google Docs to share and talk about terrible, evil, ugly things. A school can't ban Google Docs. I mean, come on. Like, who pays for Microsoft nowadays?
Yeah.
Like, come on, Google Docs is free and sometimes can do better work. So, schools having to face that, going to block social media. But hey, yeah. So that is one of the prime examples I use when talking to parents to kind of convince them. Not the app itself. I mean, sure, if there can be a legitimate bad app that hacks you, but I'm talking about the top 20 apps on the App Store today. Realistically, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah,
They all have the same features.
I see it more in the US than I do here in Canada, where law enforcement will put out the top 10 worst apps for kids to be on, right? And some of those apps kids aren't on, number one. But number two, it's kind of giving a false sense of confidence to parents. Because again, parents will look at that and go, okay, I banned this, and this. The kid is good. And then all of a sudden they hop over to Google Docs, like you say, and something bad happens, right? It's not the app, it's how people use the app.
Or like in those early days where we made the mistake in Facebook when teens back in 2008 was the primary platform and all the bad things happened on Facebook. Today, when I see these new lists, Facebook rarely ever makes the top 10 list.
Right.
And yet Facebook hasn't changed. It's gotten more powerful. It has more features like Snapchat now, but yet it's not but it used to be. It's because the population, what teen today uses Facebook?
But it depends upon where they're located. Like we know right here in Canada, I found that teens that are located more in northern Canada, they still use Facebook in the smaller communities, right?
Sure.
To talk to one
if we're
another.
talking about the majority, though.
Yeah, the majority, no.
Yeah, like they're not going to use Facebook.
They use Meta, like Instagram, which owns,
True.
which is, or WhatsApp is a good example.
But if we were to ban TikTok, Discord, and all those ones, whatever new app that kids will then migrate to will become public enemy number one.
Which they're doing, right?
So, well, it's like in the US when they were proposing to ban TikTok and all the teens jumped on to an app made by a Chinese company that the settings weren't even translated to English yet, just to spite the government.
Was that Blue Whale or?
That was Red Note.
Red Note.
That was Red Note, or that was the translation.
Yeah, right.
And just to spite the government going, you want to ban this TikTok Chinese app? We're all going to actually go to a legitimate Chinese app that's not even translated properly, just to spite.
That's why we've always said, we got to stop chasing the apps, right? It's not the app, it's how people use the app. That's why digital literacy is so important, right? Because if we can teach the principles of digital literacy, then it doesn't matter if it's TikTok, Snapchat, Discord, whatever, that the kids are more likely going to act more appropriately. In most cases, we're always going to have a small cohort of kids that are going to do things that they shouldn't be doing. And the research shows us that those are likely going to be the same kids who are most at risk offline as well, right? So there's the research to kind of support that. But, it's whack-a-mole, right? Like you ban this, well, poof, there's another one pops up and takes its place. And so let's stop playing whack-a-mole. Let's start teaching digital literacy, right? So that no matter what app they're on, they're more likely going to act accordingly.
Yeah. And, it's keep your friends close, enemies closer type of thing. Because sure, you can ban TikTok and these other apps that have offices in your home country. But what if there's an app on a server outside your country?
Yeah.
You can't, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah. And, another pet peeve I have right now is I'm seeing this messaging saying to parents, you can't keep up. You can't keep up. You can't keep up. You can't keep up. Your kids are way ahead of you. Well, that's just a defeatist attitude, right? Like when you say that to parents, you can't keep up. Well, then why even put in the effort? I mean, can't is a negative. And one of the things I say to parents is, yeah, you can. It's challenging, but that's why Nike has such a great ethos. It's not just try it. It's just do it. Right?
That can't keep up attitude is what I find. It usually comes from the chasing the app.
Yes.
Like some of the things we talk to parents about honestly hasn't changed a whole lot since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk about specific apps.
That's right.
Here's the TikTok app. Here's the Discord. Like that's there's no reason for that. I don't care what app they're going on. It's what are the features available, who's on their friends list, what are the settings that are enabled, does this app even have those settings to even determine is it better or worse?
Absolutely.
And if you just take that perspective, you're always going to be caught up.
I am always impressed by the questions we get from teens. Always, always, always impressed, right? And so it kind of emphasizes that when we do our presentations, the kids are actually listening, right? They're listening, they're thinking critically and asking questions based upon that critical thinking, right? And that's what's really cool. I mean, we try to answer as many questions as we can live when we're doing these things, but like at that one school we did where we had over 500 questions come our way. It's like, there's no way we can answer them, but yet a lot of them are really good questions. And that's why we do what we do here on this segment.
On that note, those were the top voted questions we didn't get time to get to for September and October.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll keep doing this as we keep getting more questions. Thank you all so much, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye for now.